Today we're doing lesson 4.1, which is on applying triangle sum properties. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. So let's get started. Okay, our first vocabulary word is triangle, which I know you guys know what that means. It's just a polygon with three sides, okay? But today's lesson we're going to focus more on different kinds of triangles. We can classify triangles by their sides. So what I mean is if all three sides are different sizes, that's called a scalene triangle. So no congruent sides. So if you can see in this picture, we have a side length that is 2 inches, 5 inches, and 6 inches. It is called isosceles triangle if at least two sides are congruent. So in geometry, you have these little tick marks here. That indicates that a side is the same, is congruent. So in this first triangle, for the isosceles example, two sides are congruent. In the third one, you see that all three sides are congruent because they all three have the same tick mark. So the definition of isosceles is it has at least two of the sides are congruent. All right, the next one is equilateral, and that is where all three sides are congruent. So in our picture, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3 tick marks. That means that all three sides are the same. Now, I do want to point something out. A triangle, let's just say that each side is 2 inches, okay? If a triangle has all three sides are congruent, are the same, it is both equilateral and isosceles. Okay, because isosceles is at least two sides. So if all three are the same, it's both of those. All right, we can also classify triangles by their angle measures. So we have acute, right, and obtuse. And I know we talked earlier in the year about those types of angles. So a triangle is called acute if three of the angles, all three angles in it are acute, less than 90 degrees. So in this example, you can see that all of these angles, this one is 40, 80, and 60, they are all less than 90 degrees. A triangle is said to be right if it has one right angle. So in this picture, this little square box right here means that that is a 90-degree angle. So as long as you see one of those square boxes or see 90 degrees, it's a right triangle. An obtuse triangle is if one of the angles is bigger than 90. So this angle that I just circled is 125 degrees. That means that, well, that angle is bigger than 90, so that means that the triangle is said to be obtuse. And equiangular, you've got this EQU here, which looks like the word equal. All right, that means that all three angles are congruent. So in this triangle, we've got a 60, 60, 60 degree angle. They're all the same, so that means that they are equiangular. It is worth noting that we can describe triangles using both of these. We can describe them by their side and by their angle measure. So just in case a question ever asks you that, you can use a word from the top section, and you can also use a word from the bottom section. Okay, moving on to example 1. We're going to classify the triangle by its sides. So I see that there are 2 tick marks in letter A. That means two sides are the same. So if I go back up here to my top, two sides are the same is called isosceles. So I'm going to write that down, isosceles. All right, letter B. We've got a side that is 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and 7 kilometers. All three of those sides are different, so this one is called scalene. All right, example 2 is to classify the triangle by its angles. Let's see if I can have both the problem and the words here. All right, so in letter A, I'm noticing that there's a square box in the corner that means it's 90 degrees, and that means it's a right triangle. In letter B, we've got a 40-degree angle, a 40-degree angle, and a 100-degree angle. 100 is bigger than 90. That means it's an obtuse triangle. Okay, moving to the back side. We're going to talk about two different properties now. We've got an interior angles property, let me just say, we have the definition of an interior angles first. Those are angles that are inside the shape. And we talked about that word interior earlier in the year. Really, it's just like inside. Whereas exterior means outside. This one's a little bit, what I mean by exterior angles, specifically with a triangle, is here's my triangle. If I take one of these sides of a triangle and extend it, this blue angle right here is my exterior angle. So it's important to note that I have to take one of the sides of the triangle and extend it, and that outside angle, that is called the exterior angle. Okay, so these are important because we're going to use them in these two theorems that we have. And I'm going to split this lesson up into really 2 days. So today we're going to really focus on the triangle sum theorem, and then tomorrow we will do the exterior angle theorem, or next class time. So the triangle sum theorem says that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So I'm going to zoom into this picture so we can see it a little better. What that means is if I take angle A plus angle B plus angle C, if I add all three of those together, it will equal 180 degrees. And that is always true. A theorem means it's like a rule. It's true. Okay, so that is what we're going to focus on today. I'm not even going to talk about the exterior angle theorem today. We're going to come back and do that the next class. So we'll skip right over that one and really just use I'll say for example 3, we're going to use the triangle sum theorem, which means add all of the angles in the triangle together and it should equal 180. So for example A, if I have to solve the following and find C, so I'm trying to find this angle, I know that angle B, which is 34 degrees, plus angle A, which is 120 degrees, plus angle C, which we don't know what that is, that should equal 180 degrees. All right, so if I do this, 34 plus 120 is 154, plus angle C equals 180. Now, how do we solve for angle C? We need to undo this 154. So we'll minus it from both sides. So angle C is going to be equal to 26 degrees. Okay, letter B. So this one we are finding X. I'm noticing that X is that this angle right here, this blue one, and this blue angle are both represent X. So they both represent the same number. I also notice that here's a box, a little square in the corner. That means that that is 90 degrees. It's a right triangle. Okay, and then remember my triangle sum theorem says that if I add all three of those angles, so x plus 90, it will equal 180 degrees. All right, so let's go ahead and let's solve this. X plus x is really like 2x, so I'm just going to rewrite that. Okay, we want to undo that positive 90, so we want to minus 90 on both sides. This is just like our normal solving. We've done this a lot in this class. Now 2 times x, how do you undo 2 times? The opposite of times is divide. So divide by 2. So x should equal 45 degrees. Okay, let's just double check. Did we find what we're looking for? Yes, we found x. X is 45 degrees. Okay, let's look at letter C, and this is the last one that we're going to do today. So C says find x. Well, just like in the last couple problems, I know that if I add all three of these angles together, it should equal 180 degrees. So if I have 38 degrees, which is angle A, plus this angle, angle X, plus this angle, which is X plus 2, all of that should equal 180 degrees. Okay, we've got a few things that we can combine here. We've got a plain number, a constant. We've got a variable x, and another constant. I'm going to go ahead and combine the things that are the same. So x plus x is 2x. And actually, we can go ahead and we can combine these other two as well. We've got 38 plus 2. 38 plus 2 is 40. Okay, and that equals 180. Again, just like our normal solving, 2x plus 40. So how do you undo that plus 40? You minus 40 on both sides. So that cancels. Now we have 2x equals 140. How do you undo that 2 times x? What's the opposite of times? Divide. So divide 2 on both sides. So x should equal 70. And let's just double check that's what we were looking for. Yes, it was. Okay, so we are going to stop there today for our notes. We will continue on with example 4 next time. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to rewatch this video, pause it, replay it if you need. Also, please feel free to reach out if you need any help.